Female friendships have drama. Ladies are always envious. Girls are never genuinely happy for another girl. Guys are more easygoing. Guys don't have time for petty things. And the list goes on and on and on about female friendships. I know that these things I've just pointed out are not new to you. I'm sure you have used these lines at some point in your life. You know, you've talked about how that girls have a lot of drama and all of that. Yes, I really get it, and I've heard people say that, and I think I have used those expressions too, maybe a few times, right? However, that has not really been my reality. Okay, the truth is, if I have to be honest, I've not really lived in that world where I had to deal with a lot of female friendship drama, right? And you may want to ask me, okay, is it that your friends are guys? No, I was remember the part of the world we grew up in, we were told if you go near a boy, you'll be pregnant. So very early, I avoided boys. So I basically had a lot of female friends from when I was really young. My friends have mostly been female, right? So today we're going to be talking about the dynamics of female friendships. Are they worth it? And I'm going to be sharing my experience with friends, female friends, and I'm hoping that it's going to inspire you to give friendships a try again in your life. My name is Emiki Usuma. If this is your first time here, welcome on board. I am so delighted to have you here. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for always coming back. I do not take you for granted at all. Thank you. I thank you all for being a part of our growing family. Yes, so straight to what we're talking about today. Female friendships, the drama around it. Why do a lot of ladies always say that there's a lot of drama around female friendships and that they cannot stand being close friends with another female, that they rather do life alone, or that they rather be friends with guys, right? Why is this a thing? What they are saying, is it just a figment of their imagination? Are they just being petty? I would like to say that they are not being petty. It's a reality, right? It's a reality with my gender. There could be a lot of drama. We could really be very sentimental, emotional, and really very petty, unlike among guys, okay? But what I'm going to be talking about today, I'm not focusing on, those kind of petty behaviors. I'm talking about how that I've gone through a lot of petty friendships and dramatic friendships. Rather, I want to be talking about my experience with female friendships and how that it has been very different from the narrative we see around us today, right? So God has always blessed me with great friends. And when I was too young to even know enough to choose, I just look back and realize that, oh wow, I was in the company of amazing people. God gave me girls that had sound heads on their shoulders, right? I was never friends with girls who were like a threat to my proper upbringing, or who were going to lead me astray, right? We always inspired each other to do the right things, to study together, to love God, to serve God together, and just to live a focused life. That has actually been my experience growing up. And then when I got older, that dynamic or that trend did not really change. It remained the same. For when I was in secondary school, my friends kept, even when my friendships had to evolve, I had to like shift circles of relationships. It did not happen with a fight. There was usually a smooth transition, and I always look back and I could see the hand of God in how these friends of mine were picked and how we connected with each other. And when I was in the university also, it was the same pattern I noticed. My friends were, I could say they were like divinely picked by God, right? I always look back and I'm like, oh God, I see what you did there. This had to be you, because on my own, I don't think I would even know enough to choose these people. And for someone like me who is introverted, yeah, I'm an introvert. Some people think I'm an extrovert. Well, sometimes I say I am a circumstantial or situational introvert. It depends on who I'm with. It takes me time to really warm up to people, but basically I think I am an introvert, right? So for someone who is introverted, I'm not the kind of person who enters a room and I'm announcing my presence with a lot of noise. I like to sneak in quietly and sit down. For someone like that, it has to be God to have met the kind of friends I've met and had the kind of support system I've enjoyed over the years, right? So I'm going to share an experience I had 2 years ago. So those of you that like gist, so this is the part you're waiting for, right? So 2 years ago, My sister-in-law, my husband's youngest sister, had just had a baby, and or no, she was due to have a baby. That was her second baby. So that very day, I think the night before, we had prayed for her. We had been told that she was going to have a cesarean section to have that baby. So we had prayed, and then the next day, which was the day she was supposed to have the surgery, I started the day, went about our day. I went out. I actually went to the market while I think she was heading to the hospital. So I went to the market, and by the time I came back, I think this was 20, either 2021 or 2022, I think so, thereabout, but definitely not 2023. So I had come back from the market, and when I came here, I saw my kids in the living room. So they were like, Daddy has been on the phone, he's praying for Auntie Essie. There was this look of worry on their face. So I was like, I just knew that something was wrong, something was not right. They really looked worried. So I dropped my shopping bag, the things I had bought, and I rushed into the room. When I got into the room, my husband was on the phone. So he was talking to his other sister. And then when he got on the phone, I asked him what's going on. And then he said that Essie had given birth, that they done the CS, they brought out the baby, that my mother-in-law was there in the hospital. She had seen the baby, but that she wasn't out of the theater yet. And now time was going. It was like from 30 minutes after seeing the baby to 1 hour after seeing the baby to 2 hours after seeing the baby, and then they had still not seen her. She had still not been wheeled out of the theater. My mother-in-law is a medical personnel. She began to get worried, like what was going on. And now this hospital she went to was the doctor in charge of the delivery is a very sound doctor who is also a very, very serious Christian, right? So that's one of the reasons they even chose his hospital. And she heard him and his team praying in the theater after a while. So my mother-in-law had to call my husband, like, please, you guys should join us and pray. I don't think, I feel like something is not right. I'm hearing them praying inside. You not hear a doctor and his team praying. And then the daughter had not, my sister-in-law had not come out, right? And it had already exceeded the normal time it would have taken her to be done with the CS and then to come out. But my husband told me, I said, okay, give me a minute. In my house, I have this place I call my war room. This was inspired by the movie War Room. So in that my prayer corner, it's like the staircase ran through that part of our bedroom. So there's this dent that I believe God orchestrated for me, so I could have that place to pray. So I had the place set out. I would go there, especially when I needed to settle personal matters. I wanted to have private times with God. So I just went in there. I took my phone, and I have this group of friends. That God really blessed me with. Sometime in 2020 during the lockdown, I think I met one of them. We had a mutual friend, so we became friends in I think in 2018. That was the first time I visited her. We started interacting here and there on social media because we had a mutual friend who was my bestie from school, so somehow we now got close during the lockdown. Lockdown, there was no movement. So she had this online program, and then she had asked me to join her for like 3 days of praying over that program. So herself and one other lady who was also a mutual friend, who also shared a mutual friend with me. So she joined the group, and then another lady joined, and she added another friend of hers. Now the other two ladies, I didn't know them. I was meeting them through my friend who started this WhatsApp group. So we prayed about her program for 3 days. We met every day. Of course, we're home, we're not going anywhere. It was lockdown. So when we're done, she was like, I just feel like we should retain this group, right? And so we're like, okay, let's retain the group. We'll meet to pray every Thursday. So that was how during the lockdown we pray. So that was how that bond began to form there, So now I have other friends. I have about 3 other friends who are not on that group, who I also reach out to when there's a matter. So I reach out to them and tell them, let's pray about this, and they join me. But why this one became a very reliable and dependable go-to support system when I needed to pray was because it was a WhatsApp group of 5 of us, right? They were in the same place, so it was easy to just drop a message there. So I called this my friend. I called her. Why am I even hiding their names? Everybody, those of you that know me know who I'm talking about. My friend Kaka Neka Adesonya, popularly known as Kaka, the food business consultant. Yeah, the only food business consultant. Every other one is a counterfeit. So I called her and I told her this is what is going on. My sister-in-law just had a baby. The baby is out and she's not out of the theater, and we are concerned. So she said, give me a minute. And then instantly, like, she dialed, she put a WhatsApp call through on the group. And now we are not all in the same location. Okay, at that time, I think 4 of us were in Nigeria, 4 of us were in Lagos, but one of us is based in the UK at that time. Although right now that has changed. I think 3 of us are now in Lagos, 2 are, out of the country. But in spite of the difference in our location, and I was even it was like, I think it was about 1 p.m. on a weekday where everybody should be busy, she put the call through, and everybody, all of them responded in like 2 minutes. So we began to pray. I put the phone on speaker in my prayer corner, and we're praying. My husband was still in the bedroom, and he was praying on his own. And I remember Kaka asking me, what's your sister-in-law's name? I told her, and then she began to call her. Essay, we call life into you. You are preserved. You are a joyful mother of children. You will come out. You will carry your baby. You rejoice over your baby. And we spoke in tongues. We prayed fervently, it was for a few minutes, maybe about 5 minutes, or while we're 5 minutes into the prayer, I heard my husband's phone ring, and then my sister-in-law had called, my other sister-in-law had called to say, that she's out of the theater, or maybe it was up to 10 minutes of praying, I think, and that she was out of the theater, they had seen her, and that she was doing okay, right? Now, I look back at that moment, and I am so thankful that I had that kind of support system in that moment to fall back on. My husband keeps referring to that day like, please help me thank your friend. Help me thank your friends. He said he was so inspired at how I just called, and they just all jumped on the call, and it was like, I hope you know the value of what you have. Because my husband doesn't really have friends, I don't know, most guys don't really have friends like that. He has people he relates to, but does not have that kind of close-knit circle where he can just jump to and say, let's pray, So that stood out in my heart, and it filled me with so much gratitude. I was so thankful to God that I could do this. Remember, the Bible talks about the prayer of agreement. You cannot agree if you're a loner. Right? You cannot agree if you're a loner. You have to have people to agree with you. Okay? So that moment could have been like we're standing in a moment that was like a thin line between a complete testimony and something that would have been a sad story. Right? There's this saying that if there's someone to pray, there's a God to answer. So God needs a man to pray. Right? God will not just swing into action on his own and do stuff for us. There has to be somebody praying. It's a principle in the realm of the spirit. That day I saw that principle of praying in agreement, having a support system, having a tribe. No, you're not just this girly tribe where you're talking about your latest hairdo, your nails, your last trip to Dubai, what you bought, how much you just made, and all of that. Yes, we have goals, and we are driven to keep doing more, to keep getting better, increasing our finances and expanding our careers and all of that, but at the core of what we do is this strong devotion to Jesus, and that's what basically holds us together, right? So from that day I realized I had something really precious that I did not and I should not ever joke with. And over the years, they have been that support system. Sometimes it's one of us who reaches out. We all get on a call. Sometimes we're in a place where we cannot call. We type our prayers. I don't know if you've seen typed prayers. When you are reading the prayers, you are literally feeling the power of God, because those prayers are coming from a deep place, a place of conviction, a place of agreement, right? And it has been a tremendous blessing. I've lost count of the number of things we've prayed about. Maybe a job, this one is going for an interview, trusting God for visa, for this, for that, and we just pray, and then the answers come. There's just been a lot, so many testimonies from that sisterhood that we have, right? So I posted something on Instagram a few days ago, and I said, if you have a friend who is too busy to pick your call or call you back when they are free, that person is too busy to be this kind of support system to you, right? And I went on to say that you don't have to bellyache about them not being a phone call away. You might just be expecting or placing the wrong expectations in them. Relationships serve different purposes. Some may not have been designed to be your inner space where you can call and cry. Do you understand? We are in that my WhatsApp group. We are not ashamed to onboarding, right? To talk about, to be vulnerable. We are not trying to, there's no mommy Gio amongst us, okay? We see ourselves as sisters, and we are free to pour out our hearts, talk about whatever challenges we are dealing with, okay? Especially for For someone like me, my husband is a pastor, and somehow it's just like an unspoken rule. You don't really have friends in your church. Everybody's looking up to you, but they don't know. Well, I'm sure they know that we deal with stuff too, but I really cannot get down to say, okay, let me talk with them and share my problems, my difficulties, what I'm dealing with, and all that. So having this kind of circle has been such a tremendous blessing. It is my safe place, you know. It's like our small powerhouse where we just go there, and it's amazing the kind of energy we generate in the spirit, and then we'll see results. I remember a time also when I did my a book reading for my book, the second edition of my novel Love's Winding Path. These girls were amazing. They prayed with me every day for 5 days leading up to that event. In the morning by 5:30 a.m. they prayed with me, spoke God. At the time I was feeling anxious, I was nervous. How is this going to be? Because you know, as a writer, typically a writer is like, we're not really people, right? Yeah, people. the typical writer easily gets exhausted by people. We love our safe space behind the scene. Just give us a keypad, give us a notepad and a pen. That is our safe space. That is our happy place, right? You know, so when I have to face people, sometimes I get G3, but well, I go out there, show up, but it's not one of my favorite things. So they were like such a strong backup. They gave money. I remember Kaka spearheaded. In fact, they all put money together. They printed a t-shirt with my book on it. I was just feeling so loved and so pampered, and you know, one of them took care of the makeup. We had a lovely event just because I had this support system. Imagine if I had to do this by myself, I would not be able to have such beautiful experiences. Like how even my husband was like, wow, who are these people? You guys have been praying every morning. They're just carrying this thing on their head. Like, it was so beautiful, you know. So you would now ask, so how do you not have drama in your midst?